The moment they slid that envelope across the stainless steel prep counter, I knew. I'd known for weeks, actually. You can feel it in a kitchen, the way you can feel a storm rolling in before a single cloud shows up. The way conversations stop when you walk through the swing door. The way your sous chef won't quite meet your eyes. The way the new general manager, Derek, keeps CCing people on emails you used to handle alone. I stood there in my whites, flour still dusting my forearms from the fresh pasta I'd been pulling by hand since 5 that morning, and I read the letter. Position elimination. Restructuring of culinary leadership. Thank you for your contributions. 27 words to dissolve 4 years of my life. My name is Maya Calloway, and until 38 minutes ago, I was the executive chef of Soren, the most talked about farm-to-table restaurant in all of Nashville, Tennessee. Not the flashiest place on Broadway, not the one with the celebrity investor and the neon sign. Soren was the one that food editors flew in for, the one with the 3-month wait list, the one that James Beard had circled twice. And it was mine. I built it. From a concrete shell and a dream that Derek called ambitious to the point of being naive. I didn't yell, I didn't throw anything, which honestly surprised me a little, given that I was surrounded by cast iron pans. I just folded that letter back into thirds, tucked it into my coat pocket, and walked out through the back, past the dishwashers who waved goodbye like they already knew. They probably did. Kitchens run on gossip faster than they run on gas lines. The parking lot was blinding bright, one of those brutal Nashville July afternoons where the heat just sits on you like a wool blanket. I sat in my Jeep for a long time, not crying, just breathing. They were replacing me with Marcus Hale. Marcus Hale, who had a flashy resume, a verified Instagram with 200,000 followers, and a cooking style that I can only describe as airport lounge chic, technically competent, visually stunning, totally, completely, tragically soulless. He'd been consulting for the ownership group for 2 months by then, floating through my kitchen in a pressed chef's coat that had never seen a real service, asking questions about my supplier relationships and my seasonal rotation schedule. Just learning the operation, he'd say, smiling that smile. I let him ask. I thought transparency was professional. I thought it was safe. I was wrong. Here's what Derek and the ownership group never understood about Soren. The restaurant didn't work because of the menu. It worked because of me. Because I'd spent 4 years building a web of relationships so specific, so personal, that they couldn't just be handed over in a spreadsheet. Old Earl Briggs, out in Laper's Fork, who grew my heirloom tomatoes. He didn't sell to restaurants. He sold to me because I showed up at his farm in the rain one February and helped him cover his seedlings. Ms. Patricia at the Amish Co-op 2 counties over, who held back her best honey for my Friday night tasting menu, because I'd called her daughter's school to say what a remarkable woman she was. The mushroom forager who texted me coordinates, the cheesemaker who saved the imperfect wheels that tasted better than the pretty ones. That wasn't a recipe, that was a relationship. And you can't fire a relationship. The first week, I slept a lot. My apartment felt strange, too quiet, without the 4 a.m. alarm, without the controlled chaos I'd lived inside for years. My best friend Danny brought me soup, which she meant kindly, and which I absolutely critiqued in my head, because old habits. Then came week 2. My phone stayed quiet for exactly 11 days. And then it didn't. The first text was from Remy, my former pastry chef, who Derek had kept on to ease the transition. She didn't say much, just, "We're struggling." I left it on read, stared at the ceiling for a while. The second text, 2 days later, was from a server I'd mentored named Callie. "Chef, I don't know what's happening back here, but it's bad." Still, I said nothing. I understood the chaos more than they knew. Because here's the thing about the system I had built. The relationships, the rhythms, the quiet negotiations, the knowing which farmer was having a rough season, so you adjusted your order so he didn't feel the pressure. None of that was written down anywhere, because I never imagined anyone would need it written down. It lived in me. 11 days after I left, Soren had its first bad review in 4 years. Not just bad, brutal. A food critic from a major publication, someone who'd given us a glowing feature 18 months prior, posted a piece with the headline, "What Happened to Soren?" She described a menu that felt disconnected, proteins overworked, produce that lacked the electric freshness the restaurant had been known for. She said it felt like a talented cover band playing songs they didn't understand. The ownership group called me on day 14. I let it go to voicemail. They called again. Then Derek himself called. Then a number I didn't recognize, which turned out to be one of the restaurant's investors, a woman named Lynette, who had actually been kind to me during my time there. I listened to Lynette's voicemail twice. She wasn't panicking like Derek was. She was direct. She said, "Maya, I won't pretend this was handled well. I need you to know I was not in the room when the decision was made. I need you to call me back." So I did. She told me what I already suspected. Marcus had been in over his head from night one. The suppliers had gone cold, several of them refusing to deal with someone they didn't know. Earl Briggs had stopped delivering entirely. The tasting menu had been restructured into something safe and generic. Reservations, once a 3-month waitlist, had started canceling. Lynette made me an offer. Come back, consultant to start, full creative control, new contract, terms I named. I paused a long time before I said anything. Because I want to be honest with you, the first feeling wasn't triumph. It was grief. Grief that it had to break before anyone believed me. Grief for the version of me that had walked out of that parking lot thinking maybe she'd been wrong about herself. Then I thought about Earl Briggs standing in his field, wondering what happened to the woman who showed up in the February rain. I thought about Callie texting me from a walk-in cooler because she didn't know what else to do. And I said yes, but on my terms. I did not go back through the back door. I walked through the front on a Tuesday evening during service, wearing my own name on my coat. I asked Derek to clear his things from the office I had originally designed. He did not make eye contact. I called Earl that same night. He picked up on the second ring and laughed, that big rolling laugh of his. "I was wondering when you were coming back," he said. "Didn't know how long I was supposed to wait." I told him I was sorry it took me this long. Within 48 hours, the walk-in was full of the right things again. Not just ingredients, the right ingredients. The ones with stories attached, the ones that tasted like the person who grew them actually cared. Within 2 weeks, Soren had reopened its reservation books. The waitlist rebuilt itself faster than it had the first time. The review that came out 8 weeks after I returned? "Soren is back, and it's better than you remember." That headline, I printed it out. I taped it inside my locker. Not to brag, to remind myself. The real moment, the one that mattered most, wasn't any headline or any phone call. It was a Saturday morning, 3 months after I returned, when I drove out to Earl's farm to help him load crates into my truck. The sun was barely up. The air smelled like grass and soil and something green and hopeful. He handed me a tomato, still warm from the vine, the ugly kind, the cracked heirloom kind that no Instagram chef would ever choose. "That one's yours," he said simply. I took a bite standing right there in the field. And I thought, this is what they could never fire. This moment, this trust, this understanding that the best things don't come from a resume or a follower count or a flashy pivot. They come from showing up in the rain, before anyone's watching, and caring anyway. I don't know what Marcus is doing now. I genuinely don't. And that's how I know I've healed. Because I stopped needing to know. What I do know is this. The kitchen is mine again. The relationships are mine again. The work is mine again. And this time, I made sure to write down every supplier's name, every relationship, every preference. Not for anyone else to use without me, but because I finally understood that building something real means it has to outlast you. Even if the people who came before you didn't deserve what you built, you build it better anyway.